be something in there. Keep on trying. If I'd known my pudding would last this long, I'd have treated it better.
I'll get my other machine.
Mr. Grace, can I send down to stock for another pair of tights? Well, only I just caught these on my desk and I've lathered them, look.
Oh.
Well, that's incredible. I've never seen that happen before.
No, but it's encouraging, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Mr. Grace. Oh, thank you, Mr. Rumbold.
Excuse me, Mr. Grace. Here are the final figures for the month. I'm afraid they're much worse than I feared, but I would point out that they are commensurate with the general trend in the trade. I put it down to uneasiness in the Middle East, the weakening dollar, plus the fact that Carter has not come up to expectations.
Oh, yes, it's Carter in bedding.
No, sir. Jimmy Carter. He's running the USA.
Oh, yes, you mean the underbuyer for sportswear and accessories. Well, if he doesn't come up to scratch, you'd have to tell him he's got to go. These figures are very bad, aren't they?
Yes, sir, but I'm sure there's some very good reason.
Yes, when I was in the fish trade, we always used to say that when a fish was bad, the head went rotten first. Who's in charge of this department?
Who's in charge? I am, sir.
Oh, you had any headaches lately?
So anyway, this time I promised my mother faithfully I'd give it up altogether.
It's not an easy decision to make, Mr. Humphries.
Oh, torture, Mr. Lucas. Anyway, Ben-Hur was on the television, so I thought, well, that'll take my mind off it for 4 or 5 hours. Well, it had just gone 12 o'clock. I couldn't contain myself any longer, so I took my boxing gloves off.
You'd lost the battle then, hadn't you?
Precisely. My hand fitted straight into the sweet jar. Do you know, within 5 minutes, I'd scoffed the lot.
Thank you so much, madam. Anyway, I was so upset that Mrs. Axelby came with me to the police station. Well, I couldn't have got a word out.
Do you know, it must have been awful for you.
Oh, it was. Well, Mrs. Axelby could see the state I was in, so she went straight up to the sergeant at the desk and she said, "Have any of your constables reported having seen this lady's pussy?"
And had they?
No. But he took my name and found out where I lived, and they all promised that keep an eye out.
Looking for the sunshine, everybody comes your way. Yeah, Warwick, shove it down about there. That's lovely. That's nice. Yeah, OK, Warwick, yeah.
Mr. Harmon, I'm getting rather tired of telling you not to appear on the floor when the store is open.
In that case, why don't you give up?
Is that for me, Mr. Harmon?
Yes, Mrs. Slocum. It's a new point-of-sale model for ironclad hosiery. It is rip-proof, snag-proof and run-proof. Guaranteed against rugger, hockey or a scramble into bramble. The only tights that will stand up against the ultimate test. A good going over with still wool.
Anything so daft in all my born days.
Take it away, Mr. Harmon.
Mr. Goffin Display will raise hell about this.
If Mrs. Slocum does not like a display, she is entitled as head of her department to refuse it. And I must say that I deplore the sight of female figures without knickers.
Oh, you've changed your tune since the Christmas party.
I don't recall anything untoward happening at the Christmas party.
Oh, you mean you've forgotten about the lift girl doing the belly dance on the tabletop?
I didn't see that.
That's because you was doing an impersonation of the man in the iron mask with a waste paper basket over your head.
Oh, take it away.
Oh, by the way, it's worked by a random timing mechanism.
Oh, take it away.
I'll send my senior assistant back for the other bit. Can't go, you come with me.
Oh, Mrs. Slocum, I wonder if you'd mind staying behind after we close.
Oh, certainly, Captain Peacock.
We want to discuss falling figures. You too, Miss Brahms.
Why me? My figure hasn't fallen.
Captain Peacock is referring to the trade we're doing.
No, more specifically, the trade we're not doing.
Captain Peacock, are you free?
At the moment, Mr. Humphries,
Shall I come over to you for you to sign my chit, or will you come over here?
you have my permission to come over here.
I've just done 6 pairs of Y-fronts on account. Would you mind authenticating them?
No, certainly. It's good to see, Mr. Humphries, that you haven't lost your sales technique.
Not when it comes to Y-fronts.
I was only saying to Mr. Rumbold this morning that smile of yours should take you a long way in life.
Oh, coming from you, Captain Peacock, that is indeed a compliment. You always look so stern and forbidding. I thought you didn't like me.
Well, I'm sorry if I give that impression. It's very hard to be close to people during working hours. By the way, can you stay behind tonight?
No, Captain Peacock, no. My mother's, My mother's rug machine's gone faulty, and I promised I'd, She wants to have it finished for, Well, it's a very big rug. I don't suppose a day would make any difference. Haven't you got penetrating eyes?
You won't be long on that phone, Mr. Humphries, will you?
No, Captain Peacock. No, I'm sorry, Mother. I'm going to be late. Well, due to circumstances beyond my control. No, love, choir practice is Thursday night. I'm at work. Well, you don't have to do your rug tonight. Why don't you get on with your Battle of Hastings tapestry for the church? Oh, and while you're at it, the vicar thought that King Harold's chain-mail skirt ought to be lowered about 4 inches. Well, he studies those sort of things. No, love, no, that's not where he got the arrow. No. No, love, it was in his eye. Oh, well, if you put it there, leave it. It'll just look silly, that's all.
Yeah. 5 coffees and 3 teas.
Which is which?
The teas is the one with the froth on top. That's on account of the fact that Elsie cleans out the tea on a Wednesday and she's a bit lavish with the detergent.
Why isn't the coffee frothy?
Well, Miss Wodonga does that and she uses Vim. Oh, by the way, there's 3 water biscuits each.
They're all soggy.
That's right, because they're made with real water.
Did you know that the Americans won't buy our biscuits?
No, I didn't know that, Mr. Tebbs. Why is that?
They say that there are more than the acceptable number of mouse hairs in them. They look at them through a microscope, you know. Very finicky people.
He's not serious, is he?
No, there's all sorts of rubbish and bacteria in all the food we eat. Fortunately, we can't see it.
Yes, you want to look at a piece of gorgonzola cheese through a microscope. All that green stuff is full of big bugs with long, wavy arms.
Don't. I've got some in the pantry. My mother's alone in the house.
I reckon if a visitor from outer space came here and ate our food, they'd probably die.
Well, if they saw that tea with that froth on it, they wouldn't stop here anyway, would they?
And you know, they had an artist's impression of an extraterrestrial being. Ooh, it was horrible. Great big pink thing it was, with no hair, big boogly eyes and sticky out ears.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's quite all right, Mr. Rumbolter. We've saved all the water biscuits for you.
Oh, my favourites, thank you.
I've got a favourite biscuit, but I can't remember the name of it. I know it's got something to do with Friday.
Yes, well, after that astounding piece of information, can we get on?
Yes, I'm ready.
Well, it's common knowledge that sales are seriously down and drastic measures have to be taken. Mr. Rumbold has had a meeting with young Mr. Grace, and he will now inform us of the result.
Yes, well, I'm afraid it's more serious than we thought. Every economy has been carefully considered. Many of them will be put into effect. But I'm afraid we can't avoid the one we all feared the most, staff reductions. This department cannot escape, and I'm afraid somebody will have to go. But I deeply regret this. It's no exaggeration to say this is the saddest day of my life.
May I be the first to say goodbye to you, sir, on behalf of all of us. May I thank you on behalf of all of us for all the little kindnesses you've shown us. And I know that I speak for every one of us when we wish you every best of luck in finding yourself a new job, which, of course, at your age will be no easy task.
Mr. Lucas, have you gone mad? Redundancies don't apply to executives at my level.
Oh, in that case, may I say I'm sorry I am.
So he's one of us what's going to get the tin tack.
And may I also say that it does not apply to middle management at my level.
Well, there has been a further meeting about that, and as a result, I must say that it definitely does apply to middle management at your level.
May I be the first to say goodbye to you, sir, and on behalf of all of us...
Shut up and sit down.
Well, who is going to go? We might as well know the worst.
Well, for some time, young Mr. Grace has wanted to introduce worker participation into all major policy decisions. He would therefore like you, the workers, to decide which one of you is going to go.
Bath Oliver.
Oh, where does he work?
No, that's my favourite biscuit. I've been sitting here racking my brains to remember what it was. I knew it had something to do with Friday. Friday night is my bath night.
Haven't you been listening? We've got to cut down.
Oh, we had to during the war, you know. We were only allowed 5 inches. And I used to share mine with Mrs. Tebbs.
You haven't been listening, have you?
No, I haven't.
The department's running at a loss, and one of us is going to get the sack.
Oh, who is it?
Last in, first out, I say.
Well, I was last in.
And may I be the first to say goodbye and to say thank you for all them little kindnesses which I'm sure you intended to do and would have done if you'd ever got round to doing them.
You're full of old world charm today, aren't you? What have I ever done to you?
Nothing, because the only time I let you take me out, that usherette had a new battery in her torch.
I don't see why we need a ladies' department at all.
Well, I am of the opinion that those who are nearest to retirement should leave now and not drag it out.
Don't forget your handbag, Mrs. Slocum.
Right, fairy cake.
Oh! So it's all coming out now, is it?
Ladies and gentlemen, please, please, sit down, Mrs. Slocum. Let us preserve the niceties.
You know, I'm put in mind of the year 1912, when that gallant explorer, the late Captain Scott, was trapped in the frozen wastes of the Antarctic, in a tent with a handful of companions. The blizzard was blowing fiercely outside, the temperature was 45 degrees below, and the dwindling food supplies were obviously insufficient to allow them all to survive. No one knew the situation better than the brave Captain Oates. And one night, he got up from his sleeping bag and said very casually, "I'm just going outside for a while." He never came back. He had made the decision to sacrifice himself in order to save his companions.
If that had happened today, they'd have all eaten Captain Scott.
Oh, just look at that.
What are you all applauding for?
We're applauding for you, Mr. Tebbs, sacrificing yourself for our jobs.
Don't be silly. I'm going to spend a penny. No, on second thoughts, no. It puts me in mind of the story of Long John Silver, who left the room for a while, and when he came back, they handed him the black spot.
Well, what did that mean?
That was the pirate's way of telling you you've had your chips.
Well, how are we going to decide?
I couldn't help overhearing your conversation due to the fact that I've been listening to every word. And if I may say so, as a fully paid-up union man, I am very experienced at such matters. And when we wish to make a momentous decision, like getting rid of the government, we hold a secret ballot.
Very good idea. Let's all write down who we think should go.
Yeah, use my bill pad.
And I think you should also write down the reasons for your choice. That will help me when I explain to young Mr. Grace.
Excuse me, brother. When you've cast your votes, put your votes in here and I'll be the stakeholder.
And suppose we want to vote you out?
You can't, because I'm the stakeholder, aren't I? May I have your votes, please?
You know, it's a very difficult decision for me to make, but I have such a warm personal regard for every one of you.
Hey, it's a pity we haven't got Robin Day here, isn't it? You know, to give us a state of the parties like they do at the election.
Oh, yes. Last time when he said he thought that Billy Ricky was going the other way, I nearly cut myself shaving.
Well, now, let's see what we've got. You keep the score, Harlan.
Oh, gosh, sorry, sir.
Now, the first name suggested for redundancy is Mr. Lucas. Reason: he was the last in, so he should be the first out.
I wonder who wrote that.
One against Mr. Lucas.
Mrs. Slocum. Reason: because she's a crabby old cow.
Who dared write that?
It's written in blue pencil. One against Mrs. Slocum and 5 to go.
Miss Browns. Reason: non-cooperation at the Christmas party. Mr. Tebbs. Reason: past it.
Past it? Would you say I was past it, Mr. Humphries?
Certainly not, Mr. Tebbs. There's minutes left in you.
Yeah, well, let's press on, shall we? Captain Peacock. Reason: he is disrespectful to Mr. Rumbold behind his back. For instance, he holds a plate to each side of his head saying the words, "Guess who?" Signed, your devoted servant, Dick Lucas. Is this true?
It's a figment of Mr. Lucas's diseased imagination.
All right, then, saucers.
Well, one more to go. Oh, this one just says, "Don't know," signed Mr. Humphries.
Still sitting on the fence then, Mr. Humphries.
It's that way you can see what's growing in both gardens.
Well, by my calculations, it's a draw. And Mr. Humphries failed to score.
Which is unusual for you, Mr. Humphries.
Oh, it's been a most interesting experiment in worker participation.
Although totally inconclusive.
Not at all, no. My report to young Mr. Grace will simply say that we reached a unanimous don't know. But one thing has emerged from this very clearly. The most popular person in the department is Mr. Humphries. Nobody wanted to see the back of him.
That's unusual for me, isn't it, Mr.
Oh, talk about economy cuts. This is ridiculous. Fancy cutting our stocking allowance.
Well, our legs don't look too bad now. It was a good idea of yours staying in them like this.
They look better when I put the seams in.
What are you talking about?
We used to do it during the war. You draw a line up the back with an eyebrow pencil. Stand on that chair. And for heaven's sake, keep still. I can't bear crooked seams.
Oh, well, that's
Oh, you move.
What are you up to?
I'm just putting the finishing touch on Miss Brahms with an eyebrow pencil.
Blimey, she must have long eyebrows.
She's the cat's mother.
All right, then a cat's mother must have long eyebrows.
They've cut our clothing allowance and we're not wearing our own gear.
That's nothing. They got such low lights in the accounts department they can't see to eat their chapati.
Where's everybody gone in menswear?
We're having an argy-bargy in Rumbold's office.
They always got their shirts issued free. I never thought it was fair.
Oh, I see you've managed to hold on to your shirts then.
Not entirely.
While I'm here, it's pencil day.
Hang about. There's two of us, you know.
Oh, sorry. That's part of Mr. Grace's economy drive.
I'm surprised you didn't cut it into 4.
Well, we tried to, but we couldn't get it in a pencil sharpener. Hello.
No, Captain Peacock. I see you've managed to hold on to your staff shirt.
Yes, but I suffered defeat in some other directions. For instance, I've had to submit to a Japanese handkerchief.
Oh, it looks quite nice.
Well, only superficially. There's no body or stiffness in the material. It can't stand up to the least vibration. Has anyone seen Mr. Tebbs?
Not since he heard that Mr. Pengelly from Garden Furniture had got the sack because his hair's gone grey.
Oh, marvellous.
It makes the years drop away.
They assured me it was quite undetectable.
It would be. It would be if he took the price tag off. Come here.
Any news from upstairs?
Yes, I left Mr. Rumbold on the phone to young Mr. Grace. We should be hearing something quite soon.
Pay attention, everybody. I have a very important announcement to make. Who are you?
I'm young Mr. Tebbs.
Good heavens. Well, it's as I feared. Young Mr. Grace feels that this department could well be run with one less counter-assistant.
Well, that can't apply to the ladies. There's only 2 of us to start with.
Well, it is felt that the ladies' department could well be run by 1 person, or the gentlemen's by 2.
Well, then who is going to get that chop?
Well, young Mr. Grace is most anxious that everyone should have a fair chance and should be allowed to state his case. To that end, on Saturday afternoon, he will join us, and he will look into every aspect of everyone's talent and capabilities, and on that basis he will decide. So, till Saturday afternoon,
When the axe will fall.
You shave your moustache off, you could get a good job as Harry Seacombe.
What have you got there?
They're making a book down in packing, and there's heavy bets on who's going and who's staying.
You can scratch me off the list, because it's been decided after all that management at my level are staying.
That's messed up the odds, because I got you down as 50 to 1 on to go. Captain Peacock, non-runner.
Well, what odds are the others then?
Slocum, experienced mare, despite weight handicap, could stay the field, even money favourite. Brahms, filly, last time out was at the Christmas party. Fell at the 3rd brandy, 5 to 1. Tebbs, long in a tooth, broken wind. Age and weight goes against this runner, 50 to 1. Lucas, young stallion, enjoys his oats, but never passes a filly. And always a good finisher. Ask Nancy, the lift girl. 10 to 1.
What about me?
I got you down as a good each way bet.
I always have been.
Hello. We're under starter's orders.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Mr. Grace.
Perhaps you ladies would like to come and sit over there. Have you, nurse? Sit down. That's right. Thank you very much. Now then, sir, the first question that we have to decide is whether Miss Brahms or Mrs. Slocum should go.
Right, Slocum versus Brahms.
I'd like to say a few words on behalf of Miss Brahms.
Well, carry on, Mr. Lucas.
Right, thank you. Well then.
Excuse me. Stand up when you address Mr. Grace.
I'm sorry, Your Honour. May it please your lordship. When I go into a lady's shop, I think it's very nice to see a nice, pretty girl behind the counter. Especially if she's got long, sexy legs and big...
Objection! How can you see her legs if she's behind the counter?
You can stand on tiptoe. Objection overruled.
Thank you very much, your lordship. And now I suggest that Miss Brahms and Mrs. Slocum show us their legs and all that we can assess their merits.
Slocum, 101 to get the sack.
I must say a word for Mrs. Slocum. I cannot have her subject to this unseemly exhibition.
My legs are not unseemly.
Oh, shut up, I'm on your side. If I go into a lady's shop to buy a pair of tights, I'm not interested in looking at girls' legs. I like to see a nice motherly figure with an understanding smile.
And what, may I ask, are you doing going into ladies' shops buying tights?
I don't know, but if I did, that's what I'd like to see, a motherly figure with an understanding smile.
The question we have to decide, Mr. Grace, is this. Do we prefer someone with a lot of experience and a little older, or someone with long, sexy legs?
Well, I prefer somebody with a lot of experience and long sexy.
I don't know about that, but my legs are sexier than Mrs. Slocum's.
Stop influencing Mr. Grace.
Too late, I've been influenced.
Before you decide, sir, we should examine the men.
I don't want to see their legs.
Sir, if I might just read an extract from Mr. Tebbs' record. It'd be upstanding, Mr. Tebbs. Mr. Tebbs has been with this firm over 40 years. He was 12 years with bathroom fittings, received 76 citations for selling complete marbleized bathroom suites. In 1968, received long service pen and pencil set.
That was a memorable day. Mrs. Tebbs got drunk.
Captain of Grace Brothers Bowls team, secretary of Grace Brothers Darts Club, tireless worker for Grace Brothers Benevolent Fund for distressed salespersons. 1976, after 40 years devoted service, was honoured by yourself, sir, with a tea party in the boardroom.
Yeah. He's had a bloody boring life, hasn't he?
Enough, I've heard enough. It's been a long, glittering career. From now on, it could be nothing more than an anticlimax. I realise I must step aside and make room for a younger man to climb to the dizzy heights which I have occupied for so long. How stupid of me to try to look younger. It was only because I'd hoped to save up to take Mrs. Tebbs for a last holiday to her birthplace in Wales, for old time's sake, to bang her. I realise now I probably shan't be able to afford it. So, farewell, my friends, my counter, and my life.
Oh, no, I can't bear it. Stop it now. Bring it back. I'll go, I resign.
No, I'm the youngest. I'll go.
You won't either of you go, because I'm going and I'm not having any argument. One of these days, I'll be his age. Mr. Grace, I resign, and I am unanimous in that.
Well, if you're all going to be so noble, I'm going to resign.
Quality court! Break.
Come back, Mr. Tebbs. Now, let's get one thing absolutely clear. No one is allowed to resign. I shall decide who's going to go.
Oh, in that case, may we help you? I'm free.
I'm free.
Follow me.
Both of you.
No, they're not. I've always wanted to do that. I enjoyed that. So, see you all on Monday.
No, sir, what about the economic cuts?
Oh, they've been cancelled. I'm introducing a 3-day week.
What, for the store?
Oh, no, for me. It's very boring in my office.
Supposing something comes up while you're in the country?
We'll send him somebody with long, sexy legs and lots of experience.
I think he'd do much better with an understanding smile.